Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. So, this one, it should not be that long. It's just to give you some insight on what Donald Trump has been talking about over these past few days about, the $2,000 tariff dividends that he wants to give out to Americans. Now, when? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be this year or sometime in the beginning of 2026. So the timing of it is not clear, but he has spoken about it several times, and he's making the claims that this country has made trillions off of his tariffs. And I don't know why, y'all, but I don't believe him. I don't believe him. But this country got a lot of money. And if they want to give out, but just like during the lockdown, if they're going to give stimulus or anything like this, they got it. They got it. He did it back in his first term without tariffs when we got all those stimulus payments during the lockdown, you know. So that's how he's trying to portray it, I guess, to make us believe his tariffs have been successful. Well, his tariffs have really been painful to our wallets. I mean, it's so bad that every time this man says the word tariff in the media, the prices go up. So I'll just let you listen. So it'll give you a clearer understanding on what he's going to claim that he's going to do this for the American people, for mostly the middle class and poor in this country. I mean, is there still a middle class? I'm just wondering. Is there still, because I'm just looking at like this, it just looked like there's just rich and poor. The middle class is gone. So anyway, let me share my screen so we can get started. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you. All right.
One of the things we're going to do, we're going to issue a dividend to our middle income people and lower income people of about $2,000. And we're going to use the remaining tariffs to lower our debt. We're going to be lowering our debt, which is a national security thing. So we're doing a lot of good work. And the numbers were reported so incorrectly. The real numbers are trillions of dollars have been taken in or gotten in terms of investment from the tariffs. And so if that were ever reversed, it would be a disaster. Frankly, it would be a national security problem for our country.
President Trump says he plans to give every American a $2,000 dividend funded by tariff revenues. He says it would go to everyone except for high-income people. Congressional approval, though, would likely be necessary to provide those payments. The president says the country is taking in trillions of dollars because of his tariffs, and that soon we will begin paying down our debt.
Remember that $2,000 check that Trump promised you from tariffs? Well, take a listen to this video.
It could, the $2,000 dividend could come in lots of forms, in lots of ways, George. It could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing on the president's agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. So, those are substantial deductions that, are being financed in the tax bill.
Translation, you ain't never seen that $2,000. For any of you that still believe the ranting and ravings of Dementia Donnie, that is on you.
How are you going to spend your $2,000? Because President Trump just floated the idea of a $2,000 dividend funded by tariffs. And the reactions about this whole thing couldn't be more split. Here's what's happening. Trump's argument is basically, if foreign countries want to access the U.S. market, then pay up. And that money gets returned to American workers and American families, not lobbyists, not Wall Street, not foreign governments. And the White House says tariffs have raised billions, and Trump claims it's bringing manufacturing back. But critics and some economists are already freaking out, saying that the math doesn't really add up and there isn't enough revenue yet, and it could even boost inflation, similar to how the stimulus checks during COVID pushed prices higher. Now, supporters are saying this is different. It's not printing money, it's foreign companies paying America, and that could ease the pressure on the middle class. Opponents say it risks making imports more expensive and could raise consumer prices. But here's the big takeaway. Trump is making the case that American wealth should stay in America and that working families should benefit, not China, not Mexico, not corporations outsourcing overseas. Whether you support it or not, this just reignited the entire debate over tariffs, inflation, and who the economy is actually built for. How are you going to spend that $2,000? Appreciate you.
So the president posted again today about the possibility of $2,000 dividends from tariff revenue that would be going to low and middle income families. Now, we don't have the details on who exactly is getting this, how it would be calculated, how it would be distributed, but I wanted to give you 5 thoughts on the potential proposal. First, affordability has been a major concern for a lot of Americans. And you see this in the consumer sentiment readings, right? People are concerned about tariffs and the impact on prices. A $2,000 payment could alleviate some of that anxiety as well as that pressure in the wallet. Number 2, though, this is on the flip side, there's concern it could cause more inflation. You go back to summer of 2022, where we saw the recent inflation highs under the Biden administration. A lot of economists attribute that to the pandemic stimulus checks. And so in this case, it would kind of be like another stimulus check, more money in circulation, more demand, that could potentially lead to higher prices. 3, we actually don't know if this dividend would take the form of a new check because Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent suggested it could just take the form of tax reductions, like no tax on tips or no tax on Social Security benefits. 4, some of this tariff revenue that could go towards these checks would be at risk if the Supreme Court strikes down the legality of some of the tariffs. Remember, the government would have to pay potentially some of that back to the businesses. And finally, the president said the leftover tariff revenue after these $2,000 payments would go to paying down the national debt. A lot of investors I've talked to would rather see all of that tariff revenue go to pay down the national debt.
Breaking news. President Trump is once again pitching $2,000 checks for most Americans using money raised from tariffs on imported goods. He claims this tariff dividend would not include wealthy recipients, but details about eligibility, timing, and exactly how payments would happen remain unclear. Even Trump's own Treasury Secretary hasn't confirmed the plan. But here's what experts and Democratic leaders are saying. The math does not add up. The federal government has collected around $195 billion in tariff revenue, but to pay every American earning under $100,000, the cost would hit $300 billion or more. Facts check. That's far more than the actual tariff money the government has hands on. Even if every penny went to these checks, it's not enough. The plan also faces huge hurdles in Congress. Lawmakers, not the president, must authorize any direct payments, and there's no bill in sight, no bipartisan agreement, and Democrats say it's just not realistic. Some economists warn this is a risky economic move because tariffs can push up prices for everyday goods and add to the national debt. Democrats in Congress continue pushing for targeted relief and reform instead of gimmicks that sound good but don't deliver real help. So while Trump's $2,000 campaign promise makes headlines, it's not supported by current law, available funds, or economic reality, or at least for now. Stay tuned for any updates and always check your sources before believing political hype. 6 sources in the description for you to read this information for yourself.
So President Trump has just recently announced that every citizen, well, not every citizen, every citizen that's middle class, working class citizen, they are going to receive a $2,000 dividend check from the tariff revenue. He also stated this morning, he actually mentioned it about 3 times. And the latest update is he mentioned it this morning in a Truth Social post. But he said that whatever money that's left from the $2,000 that the citizens will receive, he's going to focus on paying down the national debt with the money that's left over. And, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, they're going to criticize it, especially people on the left. The people on the left were, they were sowing their feelings about the food stamps. But they're gonna complain. They complain about not getting the food stamps, but they're gonna complain. I guarantee you, they're gonna complain about getting $2,000. But they don't look at the big picture. The $2,000 is the purpose of that is just to stimulate the economy. That's all. To stimulate the economy. And if you're smart, you would accept that $2,000 and you would throw it in the market, because most smart people are going to throw that money into the market. They might throw half of it into a market, or they might throw the whole thing into a market. They're going to throw it into crypto. They're going to throw it into the stock. It doesn't matter. You'll look at it as a smart person would look at it as an opportunity. And then he's saying that he's going to focus on paying down the national debt. Like, you should look at this as all positive signs. You feel me? And then he stated that he was going, by the end of this year, $20 trillion are going to be injected into this economy. $20 trillion. Because if you remember when he was going all around the world, to Qatar, to Saudi Arabia, to Japan, everybody was backing him with investments. $1 trillion here, 500 billion there, 900 billion here, a 1.5 trillion here. And it adds up. So all this shit he's doing, man, y'all need to look at this as a good sign, man. And shit, if you don't want your 2K, though, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll just throw this shit into the market. But hey, man, y'all need to wake up to what's about to go down, man. Because this shit about to get crazy.
All right. So in the last 24 hours, we've heard President Donald Trump say that Americans are going to be getting a $2,000 tariff check, and anybody who doesn't like tariffs is a fool. Now, we saw that Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, was asked about this, and he said, I'm not really sure. Maybe Trump is saying that this is going to be a return because there's no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, all these things. Well, Trump has clarified. Take a look coming out today, just a couple of hours ago. All the money left over from the $2,000 payments made to low and middle income USA citizens, from the massive tariff income pouring into our country from foreign countries, which will be substantial, will be used to substantially pay down national debt. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT Donald J. Trump. So he is confirming today that this is going to be tariff revenue coming in, and he's going to send out a $2,000 check. So anybody that was curious or wondering, he has made it very clear. He is saying checks will go out. Now, this is very fascinating here because we're going to take a look here in a second at the history of this. A lot of people saying they're thinking a check's not going to happen because of the way that he has said this in the past, but we're going to take a look at that here. Now, this is what he said yesterday. People that are against the tariffs, they are fools. We are now the richest and the most respected country in the world with almost no inflation and a record stock market price. 401ks are the highest ever. We are taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt. 37 trillion record investment in the USA, plants and factories going up all over the place. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid out to everyone. And that is why we're seeing articles coming out like this today. You can see November the 10th, Trump gives update on the proposed $2,000 tariff payments from leftover funds. Trump again floats the idea of giving $2,000 to most Americans. Here's what to know. We're going to be covering the details. And will you qualify for Trump's $2,000 stimulus check? Everything that we know so far, you can see all of these coming out today, November the 10th. So this update coming out just in the past couple of hours. Now, here's the thing, is that in the past, we saw the Doge dividend suggested $5,000 to go out to households. We also saw about a month ago, Trump said, I am considering giving out a $2,000 tariff dividend to Americans. We had heard him say a $1,000 to $2,000 check would be nice. Well, we're hearing that the tone has changed. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think this is going to happen? Yes or no? Because now it is not, I'm considering it, or that would be nice, or there's a proposal. He is saying $2,000 payments will go out to low and middle income people in the United States.
So no, Trump is not talking about sending Americans $2,000. When is the date? Because yeah, I have had some expenses lately. So yeah, you can run me that.
This year alone, we are going to cut the deficit by $600 billion, namely because of the president's effective use of tariffs.
All the liberals just can't wait to hear a MAGA supporter, a Trump voter, criticize Trump. Well, here you go. He posted this the other day where he's talking about giving everybody $2,000 because tariffs are bringing in so much money. Just to bring some attention to that, I feel like he wants to give everybody $2,000 so that we're all sitting here talking about how successful the tariffs are. But in the same post, he's talking about a $37 trillion fucking debt. Why are you giving away money when you owe $37 trillion? This doesn't make any sense, just like it didn't make any sense when we were talking about giving everybody a Doge stimulus check. $37 trillion. Just like then, it wasn't a good idea to give away money then. It's not a good idea to give away money now. When that number is 37 trillion is at zero, then fucking bless us all with a check.
Trump went on Truth Social and said that we're all getting a $2,000 tariff stimulus check. People that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world with almost no inflation and a record stock market price. 401ks are highest ever. We are taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt, $37 trillion. Record investment in the USA, plants and factories going up all over the place. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone. Is he really giving out $2,000? Does Congress have to approve that? Will they approve that? Is this the money that's allegedly missing from the food stamp fund? So many questions, so little answers. But if tariff checks are going to be a thing, do we get them yearly, quarterly? Is this just a once in a lifetime type of thing? How does this work? And when can we expect to get our money?
And one of the things we're going to do, we're going to issue a dividend to our middle income people and lower income people of about $2,000. And we're going to use the remaining tariffs to lower our debt. We're going to be lowering our debt, which is a national security thing.
Raise your hands. Let me know in the comments if that sounds vaguely familiar, like, you know, we're having flashbacks of January when Donald Trump and the Trump administration was talking about Doge checks. Also, remember, you guys, there was people out there saying we were about to get $50,000 because of Doge. And that's spending. Oh man, that was all a fucking lie. That was a lie. Also, you guys got to remember, right now the Supreme Court is deciding whether or not we get to continue to do these tariffs on these other countries. And if we don't get to, guess what? Donald Trump has already indicated the American people have to pay even more in taxes. Not the 1%, but you know, the lower class and middle class citizens have to pay more in taxes. Also, you guys got to remember, even if we can continue to do these tariffs, Congress still needs to approve where the funding goes. And there are already people in Congress, Republicans, that are indicating they're not going to approve $2,000 checks to go to the American citizens. But I know that there is one group in particular that is going to just eat this up, just like they did with the Doge checks. And I'll give you one guess on who it is, you guys. Let me know in the comments, but here it is.
Among the MAGAs, a lack of education is common, leading to a limited understanding of the world around them. This undereducation fuels their reliance on misinformation and conspiracy theories as they struggle to differentiate fact from fiction in their environment.
Could every single American be getting $2,000 stimulus checks sent right to them? President Donald Trump says yes, but don't get too excited yet. In a message on social media on Sunday morning, the president said a dividend of at least $2,000 a person will be paid to everyone, not including high-income people. This money would allegedly be coming from tariff revenue. So here's why you shouldn't get too excited yet. This is not the first time the president has said thousands of dollars are coming. In an interview back in October, the president said everyone would be getting $1,000 to $2,000. Before that, in July, he said his administration was considering rebate checks. And then going back to February, he said Doge savings could hit people's pockets. So could money be coming? It's really not clear yet, but nothing can be done without Congress approval.
We should not be counting on $2,000 checks from the president next year. I don't think it's any secret that the president really liked the rebate checks that went out during his first term. Back then, at the height of COVID, when we passed a $1,500 tax rebate and $500 for children, that cost $292 billion. If you want to do $2,000 for everybody now, it's going to cost upwards of $450 billion. And it's a rebate check because we're all paying the tariffs. And just for reference, the tariffs have brought in $89 billion under the IEEPA statute this year. Neither the tariffs will pay for this, nor will anything else, unless you want to raise taxes elsewhere. So it's a non-starter of an idea. I think we should expect the president to include it in his fiscal year 26 budget, which will come in February.
Okay, y'all, I'm not expecting anything from Donald Trump. To me, it'll be a miracle if anything comes from him. You know, we've been hearing about money coming to us since he took office, and we haven't seen one dime. I think the reason why he's kicking it up now is, number one, the government shutdown. He knows a lot of people are upset about it. And number two, they lost really bad about a week ago in the elections. So he is looking for a way to get, and plus, remember, he was booed, probably worse than I've ever seen any president get booed. And I think he feels like if he sends this money out, this will redeem, it will kind of redeem himself, you know, in the eyes of the public. But like I said, look, I would have to see it to believe it at this point. You know, would it help? Yeah, it would help a lot of people. It would. You know, it don't hurt to have the extra money. You can save it or you can spend it on the things you need, you know, and some people, I'm sure they'll take the opportunity to stock up on food and get their bills caught up. So yeah, there are things you can definitely do, but I would, you know, like I said, I would have to see it to believe it at this point. I'm just not taking Trump's word outright. I just can't. I just can't. So y'all, I did not want to keep you long. This is my final live stream for today. And tomorrow, you ain't gonna believe this. There are still people over there talking about the damn rapture. I said, I can't believe y'all won't let this mess go. It's almost like they are diehards and they just don't want to let the idea of the rapture go. And these are all new videos. So we'll get into that. We'll get into that again tomorrow. So everybody, please enjoy your night. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. Please share my videos. And on that note, shalom, family.